I think this is a very clear, elaborate ruling, which in my view need not to be contested in any way. I mean, if we have to be objective, this is an objective ruling from the seat of the Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to mention that what Honorable Ichung'wa has talked about regarding Jubilee, I think the standing order is clear. Yes. That the deputy whip of the minority cannot be Jubilee. Minority is Azimio coalition. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for allowing Azimio coalition time to do a replacement, because management of political parties is left for political parties and the leadership of political parties. But I want to thank you and congratulate you, Mr. Speaker, for this ruling. You are spot on, and I agree with you totally and entirely. But, Mr. Speaker, something else that I wanted to mention is, I think, Mr. Speaker, much as we disagree, let us be a honorable House. Much as we disagree, there are some words that we should not use in this House. It should not be allowed, whether from the majority or from the minority side. We need to respect ourselves first, because there are some words, when you use them here, it's a clear indication of lack of respect to self. Yes. And I would not want to participate or sit in a house where people don't respect themselves. So, Mr. Speaker, I think it is high time that you become a little bit harsh as the chair. Because, Mr. Speaker, in the absence of that, then clearly, we lose it as a House. And, Mr. Speaker, whether it came from this side or that side, it is equally bad. So, and majority leader and minority leader, kindly lead us with, please show the example to all of us. Show us example by first behaving with decorum. Then the rest of us will follow. But sometimes, Mr. Speaker, the problem I have with my friend, Kimani Ichung'wa, and you know he's a young man, he's far much younger than me, and he's my friend, and I've been mentoring him, but sometimes he veers off the rail. He's now my leader in the House, but he knows that I'm his leader. I came here before he came. I went to school before him. I became an accountant before him. So, Mr. Speaker, in all aspects, he has a lot to learn from me. Thank you. So, Mr. Speaker, it's giving me the image that I'm training someone who is untrainable. I have been training the majority leader for a very long time. I want him to lead this House, Mr. Speaker, on a serious matter. You lead this House. You are the majority leader of the National Assembly of the Republic of Kenya, including those of us who are in the minority. You are the leader. In fact, you are second in command to the Speaker in this House. So, Mr. Speaker, henceforth, I would want to see a total paradigm shift from Kimani Ichung'wa as the majority leader of this House. Let them lead us, and Honorable Wandayi as minority leader, to be here most of the time. Yes, let them lead us. We need leadership in this House. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I want to stop.
Robert Pukose.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Based on past practices in this House, normally once a Speaker has delivered a ruling, you cannot be able to appeal directly, but you're allowed to make some comments. Yes. And in these comments, Honorable Speaker, I expected the minority leader to be magnanimous enough, agree with your ruling, and be able to even stay in this House to listen, because in the first place, he did not listen even the first part of the Speaker's ruling. He was not even in touch with what the Speaker had ruled. And after making his comments, and I think Honorable Mbadi, In the first parliament, we used to have Chakoyo Midio here, and Honorable Chakoyo Midio would sit throughout all the rulings. Then you came in the 12th parliament, and you would sit here and listen to all the rulings, and you'll even discuss across with Honorable Duale and consult. That is actually a missing link that we are now observing in this house, where the minority leader is too emotional. You know, we need this house to be sober. We need this house, we need leadership from also him as a leader of the minority. He's the leader of the alternative government in the house. And therefore, he's not just carrying his own personal emotions, because for the past, he's been making here comments that are almost personal. Yes. That should not be the case. So, Honorable Speaker, those are my observations, and I think we need to learn from each other and respect each side of the house. Thank you.
Lillian Kogo. I'll give you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. And the ruling which you have made, Honorable Speaker, is facts on sheet. You've talked about wordings that are on the standing orders that guide this house. So it implores all of us to listen. And as has already been said by those who have spoken ahead of me, Honorable Speaker, this should be a house of order and respect, honor, dignity, and august house. And I had mentioned this earlier, Honorable Speaker, and I like it when ranking member of parliament in the person of the Honorable Mbadi gives his advice as a member to his brother and majority leader. But I also wonder, Honorable Speaker, because more often than not, I realize that the majority speaker has the space to speak whatever time he wishes and on whatever matter and for whatever length of time. But it is sad, Honorable Speaker, that the majority leader speaks on anything and everything. Scarcity creates value. How I wish that on certain matters, the Honorable Ichung'wah would go without mentioning names of members as the majority leader. Because you're dealing with members of parliament who are also politicians. And when they are adversely mentioned in the House, Honorable Speaker, they are bound to answer. And this is what creates chaos. If we would have our majority leader and our minority leader sit together, I think this House would take better direction in terms of its debate and our responsibilities to the nation. I thank you, Speaker.
Morogara. I'll give you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Have a minute each, please.
Mr. Speaker, allow me to laud your ruling. I have listened to it carefully, to every word you have actually pronounced, and I got to say I was in agreement fully in all matters of fact and in all matters of law. We cannot appeal against that ruling. I doubt whether we can even seek a review unless there are cogent grounds upon which we can do so. When it comes to decorum of the House, it is vitally important that we actually sustain the dignity of the House at all times. Of late, we have had members who are actually shouting unprintables across the aisle. And this is dangerous. It must be discouraged, because at all times, we must preserve your seat. You are the seat of parliament.
Okay, Kainan. 1 minute, so compose your words quickly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have been in the past parliament. This ruling, I will say, is a Solomonic ruling. I may not agree with every bit of it, because as Jubilee, we expected you to declare as a parliamentary party.
I've given you 30 days.
But you have given us 30 days.
Yes.
That 30 days, and I want to apply to the mind of my good friend, the Honorable Wandayi, that 30 days does not apply to Jubilee alone. Even Azimio must put its house in order, and Jubilee is one of the constituent parties that Azimio or ODM by that extension will not be allowed to dominate. Mr. Speaker, what I want to say is this. The reason why we are called August House is because this is a house of respect. This is a house of tolerance. This is a house of traditions. And therefore, each one of us must subscribe to this very tenet and respect the office of the Speaker. You have done something unprecedented. This is the first time I'm seeing the decision of the Speaker being discussed. I hope this is not going to lead us to something else that is going to be unprecedented. And finally, what I want to say is this. We as Jubilee, and Mr. Speaker, the ruling will have its own interpretation. My interpretation, now that you have opened this, that Azimio must put its house in order and accept the concerns of Jubilee. Jubilee as a consensus party must also put its house in order.
Thank you. Thank you. Honorable members, I want us to end here so that we go to other business. I just want to echo the words of Honorable Mbadi and the seniors in this house, Kainan, Mbadi, and those who have done it at least 3 years and above, that this house will be remembered because of your conduct. You will go down in history as either a member of parliament who came to this house, clowned yourself for 5 years, and then walked away. And Wandayi are watching. I want to encourage the seniors from this side, particularly Honorable Mbadi, Honorable Otienda Amolo, senior lawyer, implore upon your leadership to give a little more time to the house and to give a little more respect to the conduct of business in the house. And Mbadi, you are spot on. I stand here as a father figure to many, many of you because of the longevity of my stay in this house. I first came to this house in 1992. And as a very young person, I sat on the speaker's panel. And I hit the ground running, learning how to run the house. I sat on this chair in the presence of greats like the late President Mwai Kibaki, the late George Saitot, the late Wamalwa Kijana, the late Mzee Moi, the late Wamalwa Kijana, Mudi Awori, Professor Rashid Mzee, Paul Mwite, and many others, including now the departed Mutiso. The Honorable Raila Odinga, we walked in this house for the first time on the same day. Mercurial debaters like James Orengo and many others. And at no time, President William Ruto found me here, and we worked together. I want to encourage you members. This journey is long, and you'll pass through some very slippery grounds. Sometimes you may think you know everything when you know nothing. And that is what gets us off the rails. Leadership is a privilege. It's not a right. And when we come to this house, Mbadi, keep on talking to our colleagues in the manner you did, that here, when you are given an opportunity to lead, please lead. I have been extremely courteous to every member, and I will continue doing so, but we will try to enforce the rules of the House. There are 3 or 4 members I have noted who are taking for granted the magnanimity of the chair, and that is not right. I saw one member yesterday confront the honorable member for Dagoretti North to ask her why she's sitting here when the rest have gone out. It is not your duty as a member to picket members out of the house. Every member is here on their own right. Honorable Otienda Amolo is here to represent the people of Rarieda, and that responsibility is not shared unless he wants to share it himself. Because at the end of the day, you answer questions to the people who cast the vote for you. And I want to encourage us that the length we have been here, even if we are slow at learning, we learned something. And it's good to listen when we tell you what to do. I'll administer this house without any fear or favor, and with absolute fairness. We want a house that everybody out there looks at in admiration. That's why you have a host of students who come here sitting in the gallery. When your students who are your children sit up there and hear the words that the Honorable Babu Wino uttered here on the floor, they shudder. They shudder. And I want to encourage Honorable Mbadi, Honorable Tienda Molo, Honorable Kainan, you are the seniors. Talk to these young colleagues and tell them that sometimes you may be quick to answer, quick to speak, but the good book of the Lord, the Bible says, always be quick to listen and slow to answer. You will be able to get away with many things. Next order. Kaluma, I'm told you are also senior.
Order number that.
And I acknowledge that. Next order.
Order number 13, motion. General debate on the proposal to Parliament to consider amending the Constitution and the standing orders.
The mover of this motion, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I beg to reply to the motion on the general debate on the proposal to consider the constitutional amendments and our own standing orders, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as you did mention, we have indeed interacted with this motion for the better part of this session, and indeed even went ahead to amend the standing orders, and that is why in the last 3 weeks we have been able to have